All right, boys and girls, we're going to start with part 2 of Unit 1, Lesson 1. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Okay, and I'm going to pull up the wonders. Mark that off. Okay. All right. We were in our reading writing companion. I'm going to show you how to get there really quick. When you log on to your Wonders account, yours will look like this. You will have all of these things to do. I want you to go over to find your workbook to read. And you are going to find a story, A Life in the Woods. And there it is right there for you. Let me get rid of this real quick. All right. And you will be able to follow along and fill out your workbook online by, if you click on the line, it will give you a space bar up here and you can type whatever you would like. If you would like to put that in there, you can. And that will show up on your answer sheet. That way you can follow along with what we're doing. But for now, I'm going to get out of the student book and I'm going to go to the teacher's manual for me and to show you what we're doing. Now, earlier today, we read, move my picture out of the way. We read this first page of In the Woods. What was the effect of Thoreau walking out of town, and underline the text evidence? So, when he walked out of town, it tells us to underline the text evidence. Let me get my annotate pen here working. Why it is not, I do not know. It should be. Let me here. All right. My stylist does not seem to want to try one more place, which means this worked earlier today, so I know it does work. There we go. Here it goes. All right, so let's go ahead and fill in some answers here. What was the effect of Thoreau walking out of town? Underline the text evidence. Well, here it says Thoreau walked out of town. Tall white pines soon replaced the painted houses. He listened to the rustling of the leaves. What if I could stay here, he thought. He could live off the land, close to nature, and begin his book. It would take work, but he could do it. So what did he do? He listened to the rustling of the leaves, and he thought, what if I could stay here? He could live off the land, close to nature, and begin his book. It would take work, but he could do it. So what did he decide? Thoreau decided, and we want to use complete sentences when we answer these questions. Decided to live close to nature. Oh, that looks terrible. I'm going to rewrite that, boys and girls. Please excuse. Decided to live close to nature, and write a book. I bet some of you would like to write a book. I know I think about writing a book sometimes. All right, now let's listen to the next part, which is about homographs. The word leaves has more than one meaning. Draw a box around context clues that give the meaning. So here, the word leaves has more than one meaning. We would have the tall white pines, which was tell us about the leaves. And also the leaves were rustling. Yeah. All right, that's good. Now, you can ask yourself, what questions can you ask and answer about Thoreau? And here, he's able to work in the woods. So that's paragraph 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3. His friend gives him an idea and lets him use his land to work in the woods. So we'll write, wow, Ralph, Waldo, Emerson, let's Thoreau, oops, use his land to work in the woods. All right, there we go. I think we're ready to go to the next page. Did you see any interesting words? If you did, you can write those over here. I found an interesting word, emphasis. So this would be like a concentration or something that you really want to think about. Okay, we're going to go on to the next page. And let's continue by first, like I was talking about earlier, let's listen to our different questions. Here we go.
Ask and answer questions. What is a question you can ask and answer about Thoreau?
Let's keep going.
Cause and effect. Circle the signal word that helps you identify why Thoreau thinks the loon is laughing at him. Then underline what caused him to think this.
Let me see if I can get this one to go.
Primary sources. Look at the text from Thoreau's journal. What impressed him?
Okay.
Primary sources. Look at the text from Thoreau's journal. What impressed him? Author's craft. Why might the author have included Thoreau's journal here?
All right, so these are the things we're looking for on this page. Let me move myself out of the way again. All right, here we go.
Cabin life. Thoreau's move to the woods indicated that he liked to be alone. But Thoreau did not feel that way. "I have a great deal of company in my house," he wrote. Red squirrels woke him by running up and down the sheer sides of his cabin. A snowshoe hare lived in the debris under his cabin, thumping against the floorboards. A sparrow once perched on his shoulder. Thoreau recorded these experiences in his journal. how easily writing came to him with the beauty of nature around him. On Walden Pond. Thoreau was a naturalist. He noticed the habits of animals. Each encounter showed him something new. One afternoon, Thoreau tried to get a close look at a loon, but the bird quickly dove into the pond. He knew loons could travel long distances underwater, so he guessed where it would come up. But every time Thoreau paddled to one spot, the loon came up somewhere else and let out a call, a howling laugh. What a silly loon, Thoreau thought. But after a while, Thoreau felt as though the bird was laughing at him, because he still could not catch up to it. Thoreau wrote in his journal, "His white breast, the stillness of the air, and the smoothness of the water were all against him. At length he uttered one of those prolonged howls, as if calling on the god of the loons to aid him, and immediately there came a wind from the east, and rippled the surface, and filled the whole air with misty rain, and I was impressed." Thoreau published his book Walden in 1854.
Okay, so now let's look at some of these questions. Let's go over here to the ask and answer questions. What is a question you can ask and answer about Thoreau? Now this is not just one answer. There are many different things that you can choose. Let's talk about the animals. So let's ask a question about those. How do you think Thoreau felt about the animals that came up, to his cabin? All right. Now let's look at the cause and effect. We are to circle the signal word that helps you identify why Thoreau thinks the loon is laughing at him. Well, let's look at that. And down here you can see because, and that's a signal word telling us that things are going to be different. Then underline what caused him to think that the loon was laughing at him. He still could not catch up to it. So he thought the loon was laughing at him. That's one of the things he said. All right, let's go to our last part on this page, the primary sources. Look at the text from Thoreau's journal. What impressed him? Well, if we look up here, he wrote, when the loon howled, it's always important to go back and look. A wind came up. And filled the air with rain. That's right here. When the loon howled, it says there came a wind from the east and rippled the surface and filled the whole air with misty rain. So when the loon howled, the wind came up and filled the air with rain. This is something for you to think about on your own. This author's craft.
Author's craft. Why might the author have included Thoreau's journal here?
So that's something for you to think about. Why do you think the author included parts of the journal in this part of the writing? That's what they want you to think about. I would like you to think about that as well. Okay, so now I'm going to clear the drawings on this side, and we're going to go over here to the other side of the page. Let's make that a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm going to move my picture. Okay, now let's go to page 5. Here we go. Oh, let's read our questions first. I always think that's a good thing to do.
Cause and effect. Write a sentence that explains what caused Thoreau to understand forest life as never before. Ask and answer questions. What question can you ask to check your understanding of the second paragraph? Write your question. Underline text evidence that helps you answer your question. Author's craft. How does the author show that Thoreau has changed by the end?
All right. Now let me turn a light on. It's getting kind of dark outside, so I can give myself a little bit more light here to see. And let's finish our story.
The spectacular scene made Thoreau wonder at the loon. It no longer seemed a silly animal, but one with some mysterious power. As months went by, Thoreau also became aware of each animal's ability to stay alive. His power of observation seemed to indicate additional senses, Emerson once remarked. In winter, as he warmed his cabin by fire, he watched in awe as the moles warmed their nest by their own body heat. He understood forest life as never before. Back to Concord. Like the geese that move to new ponds at the season's end, so too did Thoreau leave Walden. He had done what he had set out to do, and had learned much from the woods around him. He packed his few belongings and his stack of journals and returned to Concord. Now he would turn his journal entries into a book. Generations to come would know life on Walden Pond. Loons are still a common sight on Walden Pond.
All right, let's go to our cause and effect question.
Cause and effect. Write a sentence that explains what caused Thoreau to understand forest life as never before.
So they want us to think about what now has caused Thoreau to see forest life like he never has before. Well, I would say because he has lived in the forest now. Thoreau sees forest life different because we're running out of room. He has lived in the forest. He has spent time actually living there. So let's go to the next one. What question can you ask to check your understanding of the second paragraph and write your question? Well, our second paragraph is right here. So, what question can we ask to check our understanding? Why do you think, see it says right here, Thoreau left Walden. So why did Thoreau leave Walden? Why did he leave? I think that's a good question. I'd like to know why he left. Was he finished with his book? What was going on? Was he going to write another book? Maybe a sequel? I don't know. So a thing that you can think about is the author's craft.
Author's craft. How does the author show that Thoreau has changed by the end?
Okay, so now, do you think Thoreau's different after he has spent this time in the woods? I think he probably is. Now, I know I'm going to run out of time very quick on this video, so I'm going to quit with this video, and I'm going to make another one to finish up our lesson for today. I need to stop sharing my screen. And I will see you soon to finish up this lesson. Bye, boys and girls. I hope you're having a good day.